What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with a brand new review for Rated to Love, you guys. Season 8, episode number 5, you guys. So, this episode is titled Navigating Non-Negotiable. So, before we go ahead and get into this review, you guys, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Rated to Love, shall we? All right, you guys. So remember, last week we left off with the to be continued for the elimination of between Marvin and between Red, right? So remember last week I asked you guys who you guys thought was going to go home this week. And remember, I said I figured it would be Red. So I was correct, you guys. It was Red. So Red ended up going home this week, and no shock there, right? No shock at all. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think so far this season I think we're doing good with getting rid of people who might not necessarily be here for love. Now, you guys, we're going to have to talk about the drama that happened with Rated to Love. So be sure to join me at noon for a live where we'll discuss this episode, and also we will discuss the mess that happened with this cast, right? So this week, Tommy tells them this is the men's week, right? So the power is no longer with the ladies. The power is shifted back over to the men. And so Tommy is telling the men, like, what he wants them to do this week is he wants them to, think about the non-negotiables and sit down with some of these ladies and go on some dates and, talk about what your non-negotiables are, right? So I was like, okay, that's cool. So the first date we have is a very interesting date. It is between Herbert and Quentin, and then Janelle and Katarina. Like I said, you guys, we will discuss everything that has happened in with last week with this cast, because it was very, very interesting to see Katarina and Janelle together after that explosive stuff that happened with them on social media last Sunday. But like I said, we'll discuss it in the live today, and then that'll be that. So Herbert, you guys, like I said, I do like Herbert, but we're gonna talk about these men a little deeper as we get into once we get into the gentleman's lounge, right? So it was so interesting when Janelle got there. She was greeted by Quentin and Herbert, right? So Janelle is talking about the fact that when she sends a text message to Herbert, Herbert is non-responsive to her, right? So then when Katarina came, she spoke to the guys, and she even, her and Janelle even gave each other a hug. And I was like, oh, wow. We went from this to where we are currently. Very interesting, right? So Herbert, they asked Janelle and Katarina what they had been doing, right? So Katarina had said at one point, she had been working out, and Herbert was like, I can see. And Janelle was like, that's what you can see? I was like, ma'am, it really ain't that deep. Like, I think he was paying her, I know he was paying her a compliment, but I just don't think it was that deep, right? So they then start talking about what their non-negotiables are, right? So Quentin's non-negotiable is someone who has emotional intelligence, right? And I was like, okay, that's a good one. And then Herbert's non-negotiable was having kids. I was like, okay, not a problem there either, right? So then Janelle said that her non-negotiable is she wants someone who is ambitious, right? She don't want someone who is lazy, who doesn't have any drive, any determination, any will. So she doesn't want that, and I understand that, and I'm here for that, right? So I forgot if Katarina said what her non-negotiable was. I don't think she did, but if she did, you guys can put it in the comment section. So we see Janelle and Herbert at one point, so they were talking, right? So this goes back to what Janelle was talking about earlier about the fact that he doesn't text her. So she was asking him, are you into me? And he says it's not like that. He said he's just mostly he's not used to dating multiple women, right? Well, no, multiple women, right? And then he also said that he's very nonchalant. And I was like, well, that's not a good thing to tell someone. I'm like, nonchalant, that means that you don't care. And a nonchalant, which I'm pretty nonchalant at times about certain things, not everything, but when he said he was nonchalant, I was like, well, why are you on this show? Just asking the obvious question, right? So then we saw we saw Quentin and Katarina talking, but again, it just I didn't get much from that date. But I definitely want you guys to tell me if you got something from it, because for me, I didn't get much from it, and I don't know if they were not interested in one another or what. I'm just, and I think that because I know at one point she was just talking about the fact that he beat her because they played pickleball. And there's another thing when it comes to Rated to Love that I noticed with them filming this season. Y'all don't even actually do anything in the city. Like, I have saw some things in Dallas, but for the most part, everything that I see that y'all have done is all the way in Grapevine or over there in Irving. That is hella far. I'm so glad I didn't. I did speak to the casting director Lala Means, but I'm so glad that they said that it didn't go nowhere, because y'all are picking the places that are far as hell, right? The only thing, hell, even the lounge is far, because the lounge is over in the Bishop Arts district. Never mind. Let's pause here and move forward, you guys. All right, guys. So next up, we see Chris. So Chris is having a one-on-one date with Aries, right? And he had a personal chef. I was like, okay, cool. So he sat down with Aries and they had a conversation. So we find out that Aries' sons are 11 and 13 years old, and Chris has an 11-year-old daughter, right? So she was talking about cooking, and I saw somebody on Twitter talking about it last night about the fact that she said she doesn't really cook for her sons. And they were like, what is an 11 and a 13-year-old supposed to do? I was like, well, by 13 years old, by 13 years old, I was doing stuff for myself. My mom there was very little that my mom was doing for me at 13 years old. So, yeah, very little that she did for me. So I will say that with both of them, they're non-negotiables centered around their children, and I like that for them. Now, will I say if I see a connection with Aries and Chris? Not necessarily. And with Chris, I do want to say, my heartfelt empathy empathy goes out to you for the loss of your parents. Like, I definitely know what that feels like to lose your mom. I don't know my father, but to lose your mother, I definitely know what that feels like, right? So my deepest condolences go out to you, right? I don't know when, I know he said when they passed, but yeah, deepest condolences for that, right? And then we find out with Aries that her ex-husband, she wanted the divorce and not him. I was like, there's some questions that I have. Like, what happened in the relationship? Now, she don't have to explain it, but I was thinking that, like, what happened in a relationship that you wanted the divorce from your ex-husband and he didn't, and you still went through with the divorce? I was like, wow, that's very interesting. But you guys know how I feel about Aries. You guys know I like Aries. I think she's a cool girl, beautiful woman, and it is what it is, right? She did what she needed. She did what was best for her and for her kids, and that's all that matters, right? So next up, we see a date, and it's just a solo date. So it is with Marvin and Unique, right? And you guys know that Unique, I have a little bit of a question mark when it comes to Unique, right? The fact that Unique called, now granted, he ain't my favorite person, but the fact that you call Red's job a thought job, and I know everybody, and then you're very much interested in Marvin, who is the erotic Arthur, right? I'm just kind of like, what's the difference? But hey, neither here nor there, right? But I was just like, this is kind of interesting, right? Very, very interesting. So they went horseback riding, and he set up a date for them, right? And I guess that date was a success. Now, when he said what his non-negotiables are, a lot of the men in this episode said that their non-negotiables are having children. And I was like, okay, not a problem. but then you also hear some of them already have children. And Marvin, in particular, his non-negotiable is kids, and he wants a boy. He specifically wants a boy. I was like, unless you got the money to like go through that process where you guys can pick the sex of your baby, you're gonna have to take whatever the Lord gives you. And if the Lord gives you girl, 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 then that's what it shall be. Like, so I thought that part of him wanting a son, I get it. You want someone to probably pass on your namesake to, right? But I just thought it was like really, he won't even budge on it. I just really thought that it was a little bit, what's the word? I thought that it was just a little bit, I can't think of the word that I was going to say. I had it on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot it. But I think it's a little bit much, to say the least, that you're non-negotiable. I get it. You want to have kids, but to say you want a son specifically, unrealistic, that's what it was. It's a little unrealistic. Yes, it can happen, but like I said, if you go the natural route of just, bang, 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 boogieing, then it's gonna be a luck of a draw, and it's 50-50, 50-50, right? Where you can either get a girl or a boy. And then, so yeah, good luck with that, sir. Let's pause here and move forward, guys. All right, guys, so next up, this was the most odd date that I saw. It was new and original, I will give them that, but it was very odd, right? So we see Mario, we see Herbert, and we see Chris, original Chris, right? They're doing an improv date with Jessica, Sierra, and Keyra, right? The improv date was just a little weird for me because at one point you had Chris and Jessica, so they went first, and they were acting out a car accident, right? They had just had a car accident, and what the conversation is after the car accident, and I was like, oh, okay. So Chris says that his non-negotiable is he wants a person who can come to find a resolution, and I was like, I'm okay with that. I don't think anybody wants to go into a relationship and just argue and bicker with anybody, right? So Jessica wants a person who, and I'm gonna sum it up from what I think she was saying. With Jessica, I think her non-negotiable is she wants someone who, when she needs, your help, she wants to know that her partner is someone that she can count on and depend on to be there for her, right? And I was like, okay, that's fine. So then Sierra and Herbert, they went next, and their little skit was, I guess they had left his parents' house, and they were discussing what that situation was, and I was like, okay, once again, very odd. Like, this whole improv class is just a little odd, but I was like, okay, I'm a rock and roll with it because it's not working out, so I was rolling with it, right? So then Sierra's non-negotiable is children as well. And she was like, she kind of want them like now. I was like, Sierra, I think your best bet is to go and find Mr. Marvin and try to give him a boy. Because y'all are a perfect match. Because y'all both want kids. Like right now. Right now, you might want to go find him, right? So Herbert is more of the same when it comes to kids. But he wants to be, financially stable, in a healthy relationship and things of that nature. And I was like, okay, admirable. Then we get Keyra and what's his name, Mario. I literally forgot what they were asked to act out because it's Keyra, and by this episode I'm realizing that I just don't like Keyra. Right now, she wants a man who loves the Lord, right? Amen. Praise God. I don't have an issue with that. He wants someone who is health conscious. And I was actually with Keyra. You're health conscious? Now I know that people can be of all shapes and sizes and be healthy, right? I'm fine with that. It ain't even about it's not even, what the did he have on? I was looking at that outfit that he had on. I was like, what in the country hell is this? Because it was just a mess. But hey, he's health conscious. I ain't got nothing to say about that. But like I said, join me today at noon for the live, you guys, because we're gonna talk about that shit. Well, she really didn't say much, but we're gonna discuss it. But let's pause here and move forward, you guys. So next up, we see Phil and Katarina. So they went on a date with each other, right? So he was telling her what his non-negotiables is, right? So we find out that he had just got out of religion, so he's more on the spiritual aspect the side of things, right? And she says the same for her, right? So then she tells him, she tells him how she feels about kids, right? So she's okay with a man who has kids, as long as those kids are not in diapers, right? Because she feels like if the kids are still in diapers, then and the father's going over there and he's smelling good and all that kind of stuff, that he's still, dipping and dabbing with the mother. And I was like, okay, that makes logical sense, but not always. I mean, if he's smelling good, then yeah, you might want to ask him, why you smelling good for her? Like, what's going on? But yeah, she also says she wants no drama. I can understand that too. You don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that got kids and then the mother or the father, both, they all get into it with each other. Like, that's not something that you want. And I was cool with that. I was absolutely cool with that. So let me know what you guys thought about that down in the comment section below, and we're gonna pause here and go ahead and wrap up, you guys. All right, you guys. So the last date, it is a boxing date. So Quentin has set up a date with Keyra and with Unique, right? So they're, like I said, they're boxing. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of them workout dates, right? This date right here, I will say, was very interesting for two reasons. One, because of Unique, and secondly, because of Keyra, right? So when he sat down with Unique, I want to say this about Unique. She's a beautiful woman, right? But I feel like with Unique, you can listen to her answers and tell that she's not really healed herself from her marriage, because she was asking him about co-parenting, if he got into a relationship, if he wants to do that. She asked him about, if he thinks that his person is in this process or outside this process, right? Nothing's wrong with those questions, but the more she kept talking about her marriage, and she specifically said healed, I was like, I don't think she's healed. And there was in that moment where I was like, yeah, I don't think that she's healed in this process. I think she's still dealing with the end or dissolution of her marriage, and it's really sad. So then Keyra. This is really where Keyra kind of set me off just a little bit, because I thought it was just very crass and very rude as fuck, right? So Keyra was sitting down with Quentin, right? And so she asked him, so, you don't really look the type that'll date a black girl, so do you date white girls? And he was like, if I didn't date black girls, why would I be in this process? I was like, exactly, but that's not necessarily the best answer, because, I mean, I'm pretty positive there would be some black men who probably didn't date black women who would join this show for clout, but I'm not saying that's what you're doing, right? So then, but I finally kind of put two and two together what it is with her. It's the fact that she might not be comfortable. She might not be comfortable around black women, and she is definitely hella insecure around white women, and so that's why she asked that question. So, and I also do want to point this out: just because you speak proper and you use proper English and things of that nature, that doesn't equate to whiteness. Like, I enunciate my words. I do all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm still a black man. That's all people are going to see me as. Where Keyra falls in line with that situation is the reason why she feels so like she's so close to whiteness. It's not because you talk proper. It's because you throw on that Valley Girl accent. It's because you're throwing that Valley Girl talk. That's the reason why people want to perceive you, say that you do, like, no. So yeah, we as black people got to stop saying that when people, speak proper English, that, we got to stop calling people Oreos and all that kind of stuff. Because it's stupid. It's really stupid because people, you know how to use their words and enunciate. Like, yes, I enunciate my words. Yes, I have a country, I have a little bit of a country twang to me. Yes, so, but I still, I still know how to enunciate. Like, whatever. But like I said, with Keyra, it's the fact that she throws on that stupid Valley Girl ass accent. That's what it is. It's that Valley Girl accent. So after that, we get to the Gentleman's Lounge. Now, normally, you guys know I will say who the guys like. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But in this particular episode, we're not going to say who the guys like and who the guys dislike because I'm noticing a trend when it comes to this cast of men. When they get to the Gentleman's Lounge, each week their picks change. Literally each week these men go to the Gentleman's Lounge. I've noticed they never stay consistent with who they have a connection with, right? Because if you guys notice in the episode, Sierra had they'll go out on dates with certain people. And we see that. Because Herbert, when he had that improv date with Sierra, he didn't say anything. And then we actually go back to episode 2. They had an immediate, they hit it off with each other in episode 2. Then we come back to the next Gentleman's Lounge. Herbert has flipped, moved on to Janelle and somebody else, right? But then that next Gentleman's Lounge, it was Marier who was talking about he liked Sierra, right? But in this episode, nobody mentioned Sierra's name. And I was thinking to myself, and I even tweeted this last night, that with Sierra, I think Sierra's gonna get the friend zone treatment. I honestly think she might get the Alexis Sky treatment. How Alexis Fly. Remember her from Houston when she had that connection with AJ, but AJ was going between her and Keyra. Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. But I just, like I said, I just noticed that in this episode that the men, they change who their connections are with each week. The women stay consistent with who they're liking. The men are not, and I think it's a numbers game. But let me know what you guys think. So ultimately, it came down to being between Keyra and Unique, right? So Marier had an eliminate with Keyra, and Marvin had the eliminate with Unique, right? And ultimately, the men feel that, Unique is not ready to love. I do agree with that, but I was like, why did y'all keep Keyra? The rude one. Then when she's, she lost me in a scene with Marier when she was like, oh, I have black cousins. No shit, Sherlock, you're black. You saying you have black cousins is the equivalent of a racist person saying, I have black friends. You just don't feel comfortable around either you don't feel comfortable being black or being around black people. One of those two. I ain't got nothing else for it. I have nothing else to say. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. You guys subscribe to the channel. Please turn on your post notifications and also share the video, you guys. And until the next time, please stay safe out there, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.